Ceasefire between Israel and Hamas will go into effect in less than 24 hours after Israel's full cabinet approved the deal. Fighting in the Gaza Strip will be paused Sunday at 1:30 a.m. Eastern. The deal starts with a 6-week truce and involves several phases. Most Israeli forces will withdraw to the Gaza border, and Hamas will free 33 hostages in exchange for 100 Palestinian prisoners serving life sentences in Israeli prisons. According to a portion of the deal shared by Hamas, Israel will also release another 1,000 Palestinian prisoners who were not involved in the October 7th attacks. Joining us now, former Democratic Congresswoman of California, Jane Harman. She's also the chair of the Commission on the National Defense Strategy. Good morning, Congresswoman.
Good morning.
Good morning, Congresswoman. This is such an amazing turn, considering the ebb and flow of this crisis from October 7th to today, and at times the appearance of a lack of movement or a sense that folks did not want this to move. But here we are now, and it is a blessing to have this breakthrough. What does this mean for Gazans at this point? What can they look for as this idea of now rebuilding at the end of this becomes a new reality for them?
Well, a couple of things. First, let's stop quibbling about who deserves credit. Trump deserves some credit. Biden deserves some credit. Let's see the deal happen. And, oh, by the way, 2 American hostages are being released tomorrow, or supposed to be released. I don't think anybody's asking about their political affiliation, at least not yet. So let's get over that. For Palestinians, there are supposed to be 600 relief trucks per day delivering humanitarian aid that has been so lacking. And also, the Palestinian Authority will assume some responsibility for governance there. That means Hamas will not be running Gaza, but the PA will. That's good news. The PA needs massive reforms, but hey, at least it's a government that will be in place. What I'm worried about, Michael, though, is phase 2 and 3. I can see this part of the deal happening, and it's a huge relief. But phase 2 and 3 involves some progress toward some form of state for the Palestinians. And there, I think there could be a huge problem with the Trump administration. His incoming ambassador, Mike Huckabee, is a born-again Christian and has said he doesn't have a problem with Israel annexing the West Bank. The right-wing government of Bibi Netanyahu, especially Ben-Gvir and Smotrich, are in favor of annexing the West Bank. That's where most of the Palestinians are. And I can also see another attempt, which is many Israelis abhor, to politicize the Israeli Supreme Court. So this is bad news. Where will Bibi be? Why doesn't he take advantage of the opportunity to change his coalition? And I'm guessing if he would do that, a pardon might be in his future as well. He would then go down as a peacemaker, and instead we may be going right back to war. Unbelievably, right back to war, and endangering, for example, Jordan, the neighbor of Israel, which has made peace with Israel for decades, but which has a huge Palestinian population, which will be destabilized if there is a move to annex the West Bank.
Congresswoman, you lay out the stakes here, and Sunday is one step. It is a very important step. It is a step that many people were skeptical that we would ever come to see. But there are many more steps after that. In the absence of a partner in the United States that is willing to, have a tough conversation with our friend and ally, the state of Israel, I don't think that President Trump is going to be exerting any kind of pressure, if you will, on Prime Minister Netanyahu and his right-wing coalition to adhere to humanitarian standards, right, or to get that to pressure for a Palestinian state, if you will. So who steps up in that void? Is this where some of the other G7 countries come into play? Does France take an outsized role here? Who is going to step up in the void of pressure from the Americans?
Well, good question. The G7 can play a role. Let's understand France's government is in transition at the moment, and
to say the least,
the current leader might go away pretty quickly. Germany's government is in transition too, so the strong leaders in Europe aren't so strong. But I can see another play that would interest President Trump, and that is the deal he has sought for years, or the expanded deal with Saudi Arabia and some of the other states in that region. He wants that deal. It's an economic deal. I'm sure there are some good consequences for his son-in-law and other things if that deal were to happen. But I'm saying if he wants that deal, he's going to have to tamp down a move to annex the West Bank and do things that the Saudis have said are completely unacceptable. So he may have a balancing act here that could turn out better than I fear. But if this is going in a direction that phase 2 and 3 blow up and we go right back to war, or Israel goes right back to war with Gaza, this would be a human tragedy on a scale we haven't even seen yet.
Well, let's stay there, Congresswoman, because, of course, the Qataris played a big role in this negotiation. You've referenced what this could mean for Jordan. When you step back and look at the region more broadly, what are the regional interests in trying to make sure that the forthcoming phases of this deal hold? And if you're talking about sticks and carrots for Netanyahu, who is actually poised outside of the United States to offer those?
Well, that's a hard question to answer. I don't think Netanyahu is hugely popular in the region, especially after the last year plus. And I'm not saying Israel did not have a right to defend itself. Israel did have a right to defend herself. But I'm saying going forward, there's some new opportunities, which I hope won't be lost. So that's where I come out. Who could pressure them? Well, Egypt and Jordan are the neighbors who made peace with Israel and have some sway. The Sunni Arab states, as you mentioned, have played an outsized role. And, Israel was a startup nation. I'm not exactly sure what state Israel's economy is in now. And so it has an interest. And I think the prime minister of Israel has an interest in rebooting that. So I think the neighborhood, I don't know what to say about the G7. I think maybe a country like Turkey could play a role, maybe some others. Let's understand that Syria and Lebanon have shoots and leaves breaking out. They have the beginning of decent governments after years of really failed state status. And so they will be interested, and those interested in them, Turkey being one, will be interested, I hope, in more peace in the region. And finally, let's not forget Iran. Israel did cause huge harm to Iran by taking out, effectively, its proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, and hurting the Houthis. So Iran's going to want to play, and the region's going to not want Iran to go nuclear and play in the role that it has played. So I think there could be common cause trying to rein in Iran, and I think some progress could be made. And it was Biden's policy not to let Iran go nuclear. I can't imagine that President-elect Trump would want to break that policy.
We will all be watching and waiting to see what happens. Former Congressman Jane Harman, thank you.